Thanks very much. I'm sorry that it's necessary to interrupt all the good fellowship you're enjoying, but my name is Leon Norsworthy. I have the special privilege of being on the diaconate here at Blackburn North Baptist Church and have the special pleasure of extending a very warm welcome to you all on behalf of the membership and friends here at Blackburn North. The majority of folk here, I think, would be from Blackburn North, so they'll be making you very cordially welcome during the proceedings, if not already. I extend a very special welcome to the invited guests, and I'll come to them in a moment. But I think we should turn right now to our honoured guests, to the new pastor at Blackburn North Baptist Church and his family, Alan and Janet Demond, Alicia, Rebecca and Heidi. As was mentioned at the worship services this morning, this is really the final round of welcome, so there'll be a sense of relief passing over the Demond family right now. But it's exciting, and it's certainly exciting for our church family, and Alan and his family have indicated to us how they see it as an adventure as well. Alan and Janet will be circulating during the remainder of this reception, and there'll be the opportunity for you to meet them if you haven't become acquainted already. Now, allow me to make special mention of the invited guests. There's Reverend John Simpson and Judith, the General Superintendent of our union, Don and Helen Sandy, Secretary of the Baptist Union, Colin Hunter with Box Hill Baptist Church. Great to see Colin here, because those who go back to the origins of Blackburn North realise that it was an initiative from Box Hill which gave rise to the planting of Blackburn North. So, how did Colin put it? The big daughter of Box Hill, I think it was. Ken Manley, the principal of our theological college, Judy McMaster, chaplain of Strathcona, Norman Audrey Wright, former pastor, the one that launched it all. Good to see you here, Norman Audrey. The apologies, I need to mention them very briefly. Alan, Mari Wallace from the City of Whitehorse, the commissioner there, David Ratton of the Nunawading Church of Christ, Ruth Bunyan, the head of Strathcona, Derek Poupard, the pastor at East Doncaster, Stuart Watson, the pastor at Blackburn, Victor Purton, the state member for Doncaster, prevented from being here, as is Ken Aldred, the federal member for this area. I received just a few moments ago an apology from Tim Costello in that he's got the flu. Now, Tim, if you are here, Tim's not here. So Tim obviously couldn't make it. Tim being a contemporary of Alan's, having studied together in Switzerland some years ago. And finally, Jack and Bev Simmons have submitted their apologies for being unable to attend, but Jack and Bev are catching up with Alan and Janet over a meal this coming week. So that'll close that circle as well. Now, midway during the reception, I'll ask for your attention again, where there'll be a brief formality. Firstly, a statement which I'll read to you from our Secretary, George Beveridge. You know that he's confined to bed. That'll be followed by a message from John Simpson, and then we'll ask Alan to take the podium to bring his response. Would you show appreciation for the background music? There was Bruce Adams earlier, and Kelvin and Karen. Thanks very much. Now, while you were talking, take time to note the displays that have been set up around this hall, which gives you a snapshot of the various activities and ministries of this church at Blackburn North. Thanks, enjoy each other's company, and see that you get to meet Alan and Janet before the afternoon's over. Thank you. Simpson and Alan Lamont who will be here at the microphone to assist, I think. John and Alan. Friends, as I mentioned during the opening, there are three short statements to be offered. This one written by our Church Secretary, so allow me to read it, please. It's a statement by Church Secretary to the official reception for Reverend Alan Demond, 25 June 1995. This church marks the induction of Reverend Alan Demond on 18 June 1995 as the beginning of a strong and ongoing ministry which will continue the promotion of the work of the church within the community in which God has set us to be his people. We look forward to that which we will do together as he leads us into the next century. Alan comes to us with high academic qualifications and recommendation from reputable and trusted sources with whom we have had contact. He brings experience in leading a large church in Moncton, Canada, and also an active participation in the Baptist denomination in that country. His balanced enthusiasm and vision, born of experience and qualification, with his relatively young age, will contribute to give this church the leadership and direction which has been its strength in the past. 2.5 years which have elapsed since the retirement of Jack Simmons has been both interesting and exciting. The input of interim staff, the planning and completion of Project Josiah building program, and the recent decision to move forward with the expansion of the low rental housing project indicates that the church has kept moving in a very positive direction. Today at this reception, we officially introduce to you Alan and Janet Demond and their daughters Alicia, Rebecca and Heidi. As well as the value they will bring to our church family, we are confident that their coming amongst us will bring very beneficial input to the wider denominational and local communities. Would you recognise John Simpson as he speaks on behalf of the denomination?
It really is good to be the height that I am, because I know if it's right for me, it'll be right for Alan. You tall fellas have to realise that the size of, mid-size is now in. I'm very privileged indeed to be able to convey greetings to Blackburn North, but particularly to Alan and to Janet and the girls on behalf of Victorian Baptists. I do so with a real sense of appreciation to the church for your willingness to really step out and do something which I think we all recognise as being rather dealing. I know that Alan is a very caring person. He was telling me about a couple that he had to marry. And just prior to the wedding, he said to them, "Now, is there anything that we need to touch on before the service next Saturday?" And the husband-to-be said, "Well, look, as a matter of fact, there is something which is worrying me, and that is I have to sign the register, but I cannot write." And Alan said, "Look, that's not a problem actually, because legally if you put a cross on the certificate, that will be fine." So the wedding came, and at the appropriate moment the paperwork was produced, and the husband put not one cross but 2 crosses on the piece of paper, on the certificate. And Alan said, "Look, the first cross I understand, but what's the second one?" And the husband said, "Oh, that's my Bachelor of Economics degree." Now, with that sort of pastoral care, I think Blackburn North is in very, very good shape. In welcoming Alan and Janet, I would also like to take this opportunity and say to Russell and the committee what a great job has been done here in following the Lord's guidance to bring us to this moment. Victorian Baptists have always welcomed folks from outside the state. In many respects, we are a small state, and the Baptist community is a relatively small community. And for this reason, we are always enriched when folks come to us from other places, from other cultures, but with that same sense of purpose and common cause. And I'd like to say to my fellow brothers and sisters of Blackburn North, you can have on for about 6 to 12 months, But after that, let me give you due warning. The Baptist Union of Victoria will be seeking the services of our pastor to do some things on a wider front. As we are all aware, Alan has given leadership in his own convention on the broad scale. And I believe that part of the Lord's purposes in bringing the Lamont family to us here is that there may be a similar breadth of ministry in Victoria and Australia. So, Alan, we are delighted to have you and Janet and the girls with us. We are actually a terrific bunch. Victorian Baptists are the cream. We are an august body. And wherever you go, you will find a warm welcome. And I do hope that not only will you feel at home here in this church, as I know that you will, but increasingly that you will feel at home here amongst Victorian Baptists. And indeed, we want to work on you to straighten out the accent and just help you to be one of us. And it's great to have you with us, Alan and Jan, and God bless you in these coming days.
Thank you, John, for those kind words. You mentioned about involvement with the Baptist Union. I'll get a note from my wife. It's been a delight for me to be involved in wider Baptist work, certainly in Canada, and to know the support of both church and home in those activities. We've been moving in to 5 Dale Court. We have been opening boxes, we have been placing furniture, we've been arranging books on shelves, we've been positioning things in our new home. And as we've been doing that, we've constantly been asking ourselves the questions. Is that in just the right place? Can we get the maximum benefit of it? Does it look aesthetically correct? Have we positioned things right in our home? As we've been doing all of this thinking about positioning things, it set me to thinking about the positioning of Blackburn North. And one of the delights about this church is for, in my own mind, is to reflect on how well positioned Blackburn North is for the opportunities and privileges in ministry that stretch before us. I've been reflecting on how this church is positioned in the Christian family. We are a congregation that is decidedly Baptist. We are evangelical in persuasion. We are conservative in our commitment, and it's biblically centered in our desires and designs for ministry. But I am eager to think of how we might build relationships with other churches and how we might involve ourselves in the wider community, both to learn and to collaborate for those endeavors which will strengthen the kingdom of Jesus Christ. And to my colleagues who might be present here today and others who I have yet to meet who are involved in the wider work of the Christian family, we will work together where it will strengthen the kingdom. I've been reflecting on our position as a congregation in the Baptist family. And indeed, it is a delight to come not only to Blackburn North and to this specific congregation, but to a wide family of Baptists, both in Victoria and across Australia. And to think that that wide family of Baptists is connected with a global family, and that there are crisscrosses back and forth to Canada. It continues to surprise me how various folks in Canada have connections in Australia, and folks here in Australia have connections in Canada. And again, you've made me feel right at home by reminding us of those connections. We're part of a delightful family. And I look forward to opportunities of partnership with sister churches right here in the greater Melbourne area and across Victoria. We will stretch our arms out to do the work of mission as we work together. I look forward to opportunities and occasions of involvement in the denominational life. And I would be amiss if I did not thank John Simpson and Alan Marr and others within the Baptist family for your kindnesses over this initial couple of weeks in helping us to find our orientation here in Greater Melbourne. I trust that this church will continue to be involved and will continue to be well positioned for ministry through and with the wider Baptist family. I must be growing. I've been reflecting on our position in the community. Geographically, Blackburn North Baptist Church is well situated for the work of outreach and ministry in this area. And I have driven past the new or soon-to-be freeway, which has been pointed out to me on several occasions as a wonderful opportunity, as it will centralize this church and to put Blackburn North within, 15 minutes drive from virtually anywhere in the wider radius of Melbourne. This church is geographically centered to be able to serve the wider regions, but the people of this congregation are the most significant resource, and the church is well positioned to have influence in spheres of education, medicine, business, and social services. I trust that through ministries such as Jubilee House and Green Beret, it's not pronounced right, is it? Is it? Green Beret? See, I'm just learning. Chat and Shoes and dozens of others that I'm gradually coming up to speed with, that this church will increase its opportunities of positioning within the community. Scriptures call us to be salt and light. May we exercise that responsibility with growing vision. I've been reflecting about our position in the global community. We're part of a very large world, and we're privileged to worship with ethnic congregations involved with this church and to widen our borders. I've been thinking about the crisscrosses between Canadian and Australian Baptists, and I need to warn you now that I've invited a lot of my Canadian friends to come and visit. Before we left, I reminded them all that the Olympics will take place in Sydney in the year 2000, and the Baptist World Alliance meetings, what do we call it, the Baptist World Congress, will be held right here in Melbourne in the year 2000. And so I've told all my good Baptist friends and sports enthusiasts that there's no excuse for failing to plan a trip out to Australia. I trust that over the years that we share, we'll see new opportunities of global connections as we consider the width of our Christian family. I've been reflecting on the position of Blackburn North in eternity. But this is the thing that matters most. We have much privilege and opportunity before us, but what will matter most is where the church is positioned as we stand before God in judgment. I, some time ago, wrote up on a sheet of paper my purpose for a living. What is my purpose statement in life? And at the top of that page, I took a phrase from the words of Jesus in the New Testament. My purpose is chiefly to live so as to hear God say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." You'll hear me repeat that more than once throughout my tenure here. And that is, I believe, the chief purpose of our congregation and the work that we do together. How will we be positioned in eternity? I trust that God will look to the family of believers at Blackburn North and say, "Well done, good and faithful servants. Well done. You have used your resources wisely. Enter into your reward." We are called to be salt and light and to bring influence to this community. Influence in the name of Jesus Christ to this country, and influence in the name of our Savior to the world. May we be about the building of His kingdom. We are well positioned. May we use that resource to the glory of God. Thank you.
There are no more formalities. Tea and coffee we serve on the tables at the stage and up near the lounge door. And we'll keep the servery clear so that you can return your cups and saucers there for convenience if you wouldn't mind. And take time to look at the display stands. Thanks very much. Thanks for coming.